What's going on? What's happening? Part of my presence YouTube channel. I want to discuss the story that came out last night in regards to a quote-unquote rapper by the name of Slim 400, who was apparently shot and killed in Inglewood, California. Now, I say quote-unquote rapper because, to me, and again, this is my opinion. Maybe you guys share this opinion that too often we keep hearing these reports or these stories about a rapper getting killed. And then we find out when we look at the headline and we look at the picture, we realize we have no idea who this person is, or what songs they sang, what albums they put out, who they were signed to, who they were affiliated with, who they did features with, and then you come to find out they were just a local rapper on the rise. A rapper who wasn't signed to any label, didn't have any employer, didn't have any financial backing, didn't have any connection to anyone that we know is a legit rapper, but they put that title of rapper on them. And there's a reason why they do that. So before I go into the narrative, I just want to say, growing up, one of my biggest fears was if I met my untimely demise, if I was taken off the earth and murdered or shot, that a news station would put the label of rapper on me and mention my death on the Channel 6 News or the 6 at 6, where they would say that rapper PMP is gunned down. All because they found a footage of me at a house party with the microphone in my hand, or they found a hidden freestyle on one of my old TDK 120-minute cassette tapes, or they found one of my mixtapes that I was inspiring to do back in the 50 Cent era. You know, there's something where they found some type of lost information that was never meant to be put out, and they would make it seem like I was a rapper to fit their narrative. And that narrative is the fact that young black men within a certain age range are highly susceptible to be involved in criminal activity, which will place them in a position where they could be murdered. And mentioning in that context also lends to the narrative that if you are a rapper, you cannot remain in the city that you grew up in, or the city that you started your rise. That you must move and you must leave to go somewhere else, because black people from your neighborhood, or the black people who you grew up with, who once knew you, are going to turn from championing you to a certain level of fame and a certain level of success to a stage where they're going to start to resent you, and they're going to start to hate you to the point where they are willing to take your life. So in other words, the whole narrative really in a nutshell is to make other black men or black people be afraid of their own kind. That is essentially what the narrative is and what they're trying to push when you have all these stories about rapper gunned down, rapper this person shot, black on black crime, rappers get killed in their own hoods, they need to leave. They always purport those stories and those narratives for the purpose of positioning in your head that you as a black man or you as a black woman need to distance yourself from other black people to become successful, to live a long life, and to be safe. And guess who else it also programs? It programs other races as well too, to say, I don't want my son or my daughter hanging around young black men, because they're going to get my children in trouble. They're going to get my children caught up in drugs, crime, gangs, murder, death, destruction, degeneracy, and I don't want any of that to hamper or hinder my child's trajectory. So I'm going to keep them away from these people, because they're up to no good. They are no good. They have too many issues, and I don't want that to creep into my family and affect the way I have raised my children and worked hard to raise my children. So this is the type of situation that is bred with these narratives. But what they don't tell you is the fact that these rappers, and again, I don't want to speak in general sense, but in the case of Slim 400, he was a gang member. He was a blood member. He was someone who pretty much made his identity a gang identity. He was someone who pushed that envelope as far as him being an active member. And he was also in a number of shootouts previously and was shot a bunch of times before. So in other words, it would seem that he has some type of price on his head, or he is a target of a hit that was placed on him. So in other words, he was already living a dangerous and high risk life being in a gang and being an active gang member. So for this to happen to him, for him to be shot and killed in Inglewood, California, it is not something that we could say is unbelievable or surprising or unexpected, sorry to say, right? It's not like he was a priest or a pastor that gets shot. He is a gang member. Aside from the fact that he is quote unquote a rapper and he has some or a few mixtapes that he's put out there, and I believe he did start a record label, but nowadays everybody has a record label. So aside from the fact that he is someone who used to be with YG, but I believe YG cut him off as well too. So aside from that fame and that connection, he is technically just another gang member. And as we already know, and as we already accepted, apparently, we expect gang members to be killed on a daily basis. So is this shocking? Is this surprising? Not really. But what I find with this narrative is that we put out, and I won't say we, the media puts out these stories, rest in peace, Slim 400. Then you have the bloggers, or sorry, let me rephrase that. You have the news stories putting out, or the news stations putting out stories about Slim 400 shot and killed in his hometown of LA. And then you have the hip hop bloggers come out with their stories. Rest in peace, Slim 400. Rest in peace. And then you have the comments under the article. He died in his own hood. Why don't rappers ever leave the hood? Oh, we could never have anything as black people. Why is it always black and black violence? We do this to ourselves. All of these negative things that are placed, and it spirals to the point where now if you are someone who's watching this, reading these comments, you start to think, probably out of anger and being full of emotion, you start to think, yo, I can't be around my people. You start to get paranoid. You start to think that someone is out to get you, that someone is jealous of you, that someone is envious. And as a result of that, you might be the one to get aggressive and try to threaten someone out of fear. And you might put yourself in a position where now someone else might feel that they need to kill you as a result of that. So there's many ways that this can be played out. But the sad thing about it is that none of this is something that should occur. Because when you look at black and black crime, of course, wherever you live at, more than likely, someone in your near vicinity is the one who's going to commit crimes towards you. So in other words, if you are a white person living in a white neighborhood, the person who is most likely to commit crimes against you will be, yes, another white person. So there's no such thing as black and black crime, first of all. Second of all, this whole narrative that you can't be around black people or be in a black neighborhood, you have to ask yourself, where are these quote-unquote neighborhoods that you're referring to? Are they in public housing? Are they in the quote-unquote ghetto? Are they in Section 8? Because those are the poor places where you have poor people living in there. And we all know that if you lack the resources and you also live in a situation where you're in need of things, you start to commit crime in order to attain the things that you need, and also commit crimes to satisfy your wants as well too, right? So there's a high probability of crime in those areas. But let me ask you something. Are there no wealthy or well-off or middle-class black neighborhoods that you can move to? Because if you notice, all the people who become rich and successful, when they leave the hood, where do they go? They go to the white neighborhood. Because white equals right, and white, again, this is all in air quotes, white equals right, and white equals safe, and white equals I have nothing to worry about. But is that really the case? No, it is not the case. And the sad thing is, if you feel that you are the successful black person, the black person who's able to rise out of the hood, why don't you think that there's others just like you with the same mentality, same thought process, and has the same exact mindset as you to say, you know what, I want to live somewhere where it's safe, and I want to find like-minded people like myself, and actually move into a wealthy black neighborhood where there are clearly other wealthy black people that you could be around. Because that is not the mentality or the narrative that they want to push. They really want you to associate black with bad, with wrong, with poor, with crime, with dangerous, all of those things, criminal activity. That's what they want you to associate black people with. And the amount of well-off black people, the amount of successful black people who view these things, who see these things, and actually push this narrative that I can't be around black people. Do you realize that you're black too? So you don't want people to be around you? Or do you think that you're the only black person who's wealthy or well off or smart, educated, and successful? There's nobody else. You're a unicorn? No. So why don't you find your tribe of black people and reside around them and build a community with them and raise your children amongst these people? Because that's what you should be doing. That's what you should be striving for, not leaving and running away. And the whole misconception of rappers get killed in their own hoods, if that was the case, what happens in Atlanta? Because it seems like all the rappers are going to Atlanta. And then of course you have the born and raised Atlanta rappers. Where do they run off to? Since it's their own hood. They're not running. They remain there. And they're not getting killed in their own hood. Right? So that narrative is BS. So again, rest in peace to Slim 400. No one deserves to be taken like that. But I will say this whole narrative and this whole rinse and repeat culture of a rapper dies, rest in peace, he died in his own hood, this never should have happened, black people hate each other, that narrative needs to stop. And we need to stop poisoning the youth into thinking that these narratives are true, because they are not. Okay, and that's really all I wanted to say about this particular situation. Let me know how you feel. If you agree or disagree, leave a comment. We could debate all that good stuff. Until next time, part of my presence YouTube channel. And as I always say, next move, best move. Peace.